Can water be brought to a boil using nothing but sunlight? The power of the sun is something we are all familiar with. Everyone has stepped into their car on a hot summer day and suddenly felt like they had entered a sauna. The dashboard or metal objects inside can reach temperatures high enough to cause painful burns. But how strong is sunlight really? Is it actually possible to bring water to a boil using only solar radiation? Let's imagine placing a pot of water outside in the sun on a hot summer day. The water would clearly begin to warm up, but it would remain far below the 212 degrees Fahrenheit required for boiling. We all know this, and yet it feels strange. After all, the sun is essentially a nuclear reactor with a surface temperature of about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit hanging in the sky. So why can't it heat a simple pot of water to 212 degrees? The short answer is it can, but not without a little help. To understand why sunlight alone isn't enough, we first need to look at how heating actually works. When water is exposed to direct sunlight, it does warm up, but only up to a certain point. Beyond that, the temperature stops rising. This happens because heating isn't only about how much energy is added, but also about how quickly that energy is lost. While sunlight transfers heat into the water, the surrounding air removes that heat through convection and radiation. The hotter the water becomes, the faster it loses energy to its environment. Eventually, the incoming and outgoing energy balance each other out, and the temperature stabilizes. It's similar to trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You can keep pouring water in, but the level never rises very high. Under normal conditions, this equilibrium temperature lies far below the boiling point of water. So if we want to boil water using sunlight, we need to shift that balance either by preventing heat from escaping or by delivering energy faster than it can be lost. The simplest way to do this is to trap the sunlight. This is exactly how a solar oven works. A solar oven is essentially a dark container placed inside an insulated box, usually covered with a glass or plastic lid and surrounded by reflective panels. The dark surface absorbs sunlight efficiently, while the transparent lid allows light to enter but limits heat from escaping. In effect, it works like a small greenhouse for a pot of water. With sufficient insulation and strong sunlight, temperatures inside a solar oven can rise surprisingly high, well above the boiling point of water, sometimes reaching up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The main drawback, however, is time. Heating water requires a significant amount of energy. To raise 1 liter of water from room temperature to its boiling point, roughly 334,000 joules of energy are required. On a clear day, sunlight at noon delivers about 1,000 joules per second per square meter. A typical solar oven, however, has an effective collection area of only about 1 square foot. That means it receives roughly 100 joules of energy per second. At that rate, it would theoretically take around 3,300 seconds, or just under 1 hour, for the water to begin boiling. In reality, conditions are far from perfect. Solar ovens lose heat to the surrounding air, and some of the incoming sunlight is reflected instead of absorbed. Because of this, boiling water in a solar oven often takes several hours. In the end, though, it does work, just very, very slowly. So, if patience doesn't happen to be your strong suit, there is another option. Sunlight can also be concentrated using a magnifying glass. But to outperform a solar oven, that lens would need to be extremely large. With a magnifying glass about 10 feet in diameter, it would be possible to collect roughly 7,000 joules of energy per second. At that rate, the water could reach its boiling point in less than a minute, in roughly 50 seconds. If the lens were made even larger, you would quickly reach a point where the water would begin to evaporate within seconds, or the pot itself would start to melt. So, can sunlight really bring water to a boil? Yes, absolutely. It can be done slowly, using insulation and patience, by collecting heat over time in a solar cooker. Or it can be done quickly, by concentrating sunlight so that energy reaches the water faster than it can escape.